The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good morning everyone, and welcome to Learning's first webinar masterclass in the Adapt Learning series. My name is Lisa McGonigal, and I'm delighted to see so many of you joining us online this morning. We have Plymouth, Warwickshire, welcome to City and Guilds. I think we also have a delegate as far away as Spain, so welcome to everyone. I just want to check if everyone can hear us okay. So you'll see a small orange hand beside your name. If you can just raise that and let me know that you can hear okay. That's great. Thanks, Joe. Great stuff, James. Thank you, Helen. Okay, so today's webinar will explore how to build an ADAPT course. And joining me online is Learning's Chief Operating Officer, Deborah Lim, Instructional Designer, Arlene Mooney, and Content Development Coordinator, Owen Donaghy. The session should last approximately 50 minutes this morning, and there will be an opportunity for you to interact with us throughout. And there'll be a couple of quick polls for you to cast your vote down the right-hand side of your control panel. You'll also see a question box. Feel free throughout the session to pop your questions or comments in there, and we'll answer them live this morning. And we'll also follow up with any that we'll miss. So without further ado, let's kick off, and I'm going to pop you over to Deborah. Thank you. That's you, Deborah.
Thank you very much indeed. And good morning, everybody. A very warm welcome from me. Thank you very much. As Lisa said, it's lovely to see so many of you joining this ADAPT webinar this morning. So the webinar today is part of a sort of a season of ADAPT activities that Learning Pool are running. Certainly today we are looking at building an ADAPT learning course that Arlene is going to lead for us. And then next Thursday we have another webinar where we're going to look very specifically at theming the look and feel of your ADAPT module. Really important, a little bit more technical area of using the ADAPT Builder, and I would really recommend that as a really useful practical session. And then finally on the 28th of May we're going to look at some hints and tips around publishing your ADAPT module so that it can be uploaded to your LMS and everything working perfectly. As well as the masterclasses, which as I should say are really in response to customers who said they've got started with ADAPT and they want a little bit more. We've also recently published an ebook on ADAPT, which is available for free to download from learningpool.com, and I would highly recommend that. It's not a heavy academic paper, but it is a fairly detailed look at why we think scrolling is a great movement forward for e-learning and for learning designers, and I would really recommend that. And we are also going to be in June, and some of you might be signed up to attend a couple of sessions. We're doing one on the 3rd of June in Leeds and another on the 10th of June in London, where some of our customers will be talking about how they're using ADAPT very practically in their organisations to impact change. And also some of our graphics team and our instructional design team will be on hand to talk about some best practices of using ADAPT in terms of the visuals and instructional design approaches. And then finally, and very importantly, only this week we have updated our Learning Pool Academy, our online tool for our customers, with a new ADAPT program. So anyone who's been using ADAPT may well have been into the Academy. There are some new, fresh materials there, additional modules on theming, on publishing, and I'd highly recommend those are worth a look as well as attending these webinars. So just very briefly, because I'm sure that most of you on the call are sort of familiar with ADAPT, but just very quickly to give a little bit of context, ADAPT outputs multi-device e-learning content, so it's available for learners on their mobile, their tablet device, or indeed their desktop. But it isn't just all about mobile. It really isn't. It's about a different learning experience, I think, that moves us away from page turning into a deep scrolling page, more in line with the learner's experience of using the web. And I think it also provides us a rich opportunity for some fabulous visuals and to deliver an interactive and easy-to-use, enjoyable learning experience. It's based on open source technology, and we have been leading partners in the development of Adapt since October 2013. I'm very proud to be so. We've been leading on the Builder since 2014, and we now have over 150 customers who are using the Adapt Builder. So some of the things that we like about the Builder, that it's an online tool, that it's great, therefore, for collaboration. It's hosted by us, so you don't need to download any software locally, so anyone who works in an organisation where that can be challenging, I think that really has smoothed the way in getting started with the Adapt Builder very quickly. It's easy to use to create and edit content. I feel very confident to say that because we have over 150 customers who are using the Adapt Builder. Some of them have had some face-to-face coaching, but the vast majority of those people have got started using the Academy programs that we've developed, but others have just jumped straight in and have been very successful with creating content and using the tool. It's pretty intuitive. And it publishes HTML5 output, which is great for the modern world that we live in, and also the fact that there is the training via the Academy, which I've mentioned. And it's really very much easier for us to provide you ongoing updates to improve the tool all the time, and then you don't, because it's online, we can just do those for you very quickly and simply without impacting the work that you're doing or asking you to download anything. So all of those things are, I think, great things that we do love about the Builder. It's based around a series of components, and this is sort of drawing it towards what Arlene is going to cover, showing you how to create a course and then create articles, blocks and components. She will explain those things to you, and you will see on the screen the typical types of components you might expect. But you'll be pleased to know that we're going to be adding more across the months and years. We're developing more interactive components, and these will be fed through into the Builder as soon as they become available. So I'm now going to hand you over to Arlene to get started with the actual practical aspect of the webinar. So building an Adapt course. So I hand you over to Arlene, and I hope you find it enjoyable. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that fantastic introduction. All exciting stuff around Adapt, and Learning Post delighted to be involved. So before we just pass to Arlene, I'm just going to launch a poll to gauge people's knowledge of Adapt Learning, so attendees will see. So what we're asking is, how would you rate your knowledge of Adapt Learning as at today? Is it all pretty new to you? You know a little bit, but you want to know more, or you feel as if you have a good grasp of Adapt Learning. So we'll give that another 10 seconds or so. Interesting results, Deborah?
Absolutely, and I'm sort of, the highest result there at 49% is a little, but I'm hungry for more. So I think that probably represents why we have a good number of people on today's webinar, which is great.
Yeah.
Also, I see there's quite a large number of people on the call who are new to Adapt. So, you're very welcome, and I hope you'll find this session useful. It will still, for anyone who's brand new to Adapt, the session will make perfect sense today. And there are 12% of super users out there who have a good grasp of Adapt, so that's great to hear, really, and hopefully, if we were to run this again in a couple of months, there'll be a lot more who are feeling more confident around Adapt with more experience. So absolutely great stuff, Lisa. Thank you.
Absolutely great stuff. So let's pop you over to Arlene.
Okay, good morning everybody. My name is Arlene. I'm one of the instructional designers here at Learning Pulse. So I'm going to be taking you through adding a course in Builder and adding some components. So as you can see on the screen here, this is the dashboard you will see when you log into the Builder. And I am going to go straight in and I'm going to add a course. So we're going to click on this icon, add new course. Okay, so you can see here we have several blank fields that you will fill in. And the first of these fields is called a hero image. Now this will allow you to browse for an image, and it's basically up to yourself whether you use this. This image is actually quite useful if you have several courses within your Builder that are named the same. So it's actually a handy thing just to identify your course. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this icon and we're going to browse for our image. And we are going to click on here, upload a new asset, and choose a file. This will allow us to browse and just upload an asset here to our asset manager. Okay, and we double click on the image and upload it. And we need to add an asset description in here. So a handy way of naming this file is just the course title. So for the purpose of this webinar, I'm going to be using one of our existing courses, Agile Working. So we'll just name this Agile Working. Okay, and here we have a tag field. Now most of you might be familiar with tags, but for the purpose of this we'll add Agile Working. Again, it's just a handy tool for searching for images. And we'll upload the image. Okay. Okay, and we just click on done, and that's the image uploaded. Okay, so the next field we have here is the course title. We're going to add a course title in here, which is Agile Working. If it will type for me. Okay, and here we will add in a few lines, brief lines of descriptive text, just giving the user an idea of what type of information they're going to cover in the course. So I have the text here, which I'm just going to copy in. Okay, and again we have a tag field here, so we'll just enter the same tag that we've added previously. And click on here. Okay, share with other users. This is automatically defaulted to true, and this will allow you just to share with other users within your tenant. If for any reason you want to hide your course, you can default this to false, but we're just going to keep this at true. And the next phase, custom CSS, we're not going to cover it today. Now this actually will be covered in the third webinar. Kevin will cover this when it, for the second webinar, Kevin will cover this when it, we talk about theming. Now the next field we want to look at here, we have buttons. Now these fields are automatically filled in, and the text in here is pretty self-explanatory, and the text that is here at the minute will follow through to any multiple choice questions that you add throughout your module. So we're just going to leave those as they are and click on Save. Okay, so that's your course actually just set up. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to add our first page, and we will click on the cog icon here just to edit it. Okay, again, blank fields for you to fill in, pretty self-explanatory, your course title field. So, again, I have some text here. The first page will be called What is Agile Working? So we'll just paste that in here. Now you can see what it's done here. It's automatically copied the text through here to the display title. If for any reason you want to take that off, you can just click on this X icon and click this again, and this will paste the text back in for you. And again, we have a body field here. Again, just a few lines of text to go in here, just to give the user an idea of what's going to be covered within that section. Not too much text should be entered here because this text will actually appear on your menu block, which is quite small. So just keep the text brief. Again, the button view has defaulted across. You can change that if you need to. And we will click on Save. Okay, so that's your first page set up. What we're going to do now is go in and add in our first component. So we'll double click in here, and you can see the article and block has automatically been set up for you. So what we'll do here first is we will go into our article, and we're going to add in some text here. So the first article I'm going to add is a text component, and we're going to just put the title in here. Okay. So we have a display title field as well. What we can do is we can click on this and the text will automatically copy across. We click it again, we can remove it. So I will just copy that across. Okay, so I'm going to actually add the component now. You can see here a lot of the components that Deborah has already mentioned. So we're going to add our text component, and you have the option to add the component to the left, to the right, or to add a full width. So I'm going to add a full width component here. And again, to edit it, we'll just double click into the component. And we're going to add in the same title again. Now, this display title, if you add this in, the text is going to duplicate when you come to preview your module. So we'll just remove that. Okay, so the component title is actually really important when it comes to the progress tracking. Now, I'm actually not going to go into too much detail today on progress tracking. That's going to be covered in our third webinar by Owen. And he'll explain to you basically why that's important. So just for the purposes of this, I'm just going to paste that in there. And we're going to copy the text across now. Okay, so this particular piece of text has hyperlinks in it. So I'm going to show you how to put a hyperlink in there. And this hyperlink is going to take us to an external website. Okay. So you can see I have two websites here that I want to hyperlink. So we'll just get the hyperlinks and we'll paste those in. Okay, so this is the first hyperlink we want here. What we'll do is we'll highlight the website. I'll just take that underline off. And what you want to do is click on this hyperlink icon. And this will allow you to paste in the URL that you want the hyperlink to take the user to. And what we need to do is click on the target tab and set where we want this hyperlink to open. So here we're going to open it in a new window. And we're going to OK and save that. And we have another one. Okay, so again, highlight the piece of text and click on the hyperlink icon and just paste your URL in. Now, just to note, there are several other ways that you can use the hyperlink. You can hyperlink to an email address. I'll just show you here. Quite handy if you have a contact section within your e-learning module and you have email addresses. You can hyperlink it so that when the user clicks on the email address, it will automatically just open an email. This can also be used for adding resources, which again will be covered in the third webinar by Owen, for adding documents, PDF, Excel files, how-to guides, those type of things in there. Okay, so we'll just save that. Okay, so that's our first component added. I'll just preview that and let you see how that looks. Can just take a few minutes to preview.
Keep your questions coming in, guys, as well. We've had a good number in so far, and we're going to take a break after this preview to stay on top of the questions.
Okay. Okay, so you can see here my text is actually pasted in twice, but you can see here on the bottom, this is where your hyperlink is going to open. And once you click on the hyperlink, the website opens in a new window for the user.
That's great, Arlene. Thank you very much. Thank you for everyone who sent in their questions so far. It's great to see such a high level of interest. There's a question here from Carl. So Carl is asking, Carl's asking, can you copy content from one page to another?
From within the same page at the moment, and we're currently working on a piece of development for you to copy from one page from one section to another, if you want to think about it that way. There is a copy facility, and also you can drag and drop components and articles, so you can move around on your page if you know. For within the same page, and coming soon for between.
All components limit article.
But the reason why it blocks in an article is to how components, there are components blocks if you're having them side or one per block if it's a full width. So in theory you can have as many blocks within an article as you want, and therefore as many components as you want. But we'd probably recommend that you chunk your content into articles rather than multiple blocks within the same article, because it tends to just display a little bit better, we think.
Okay. Thank you. Is there a preferred size for graphics to be used in Adapt?
Okay, so that depends on the theme that you're using for your particular course. I guess most users will be using the Learning Pool base theme, which is the default theme within Adapt, and for that then if you're using a half-page graphic, it's generally around, well, we use 512 pixels by 400, so 512 wide by 400 tall, or if it's full width, 1024 wide by 800 tall. But I mean, it's up to the user really. That's just a recommendation rather than something that you're bound to do.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry guys for the slight audio dropout there. I think we're all back on track. Just to give an idea, we've more questions to answer. We'll just later on, but we will answer your questions towards the session. We also want to get a feeling what excites delegates most about the Adapt Builder. And you'll see a short poll launching onto your screen. So we have options here from the fact that you just have to create the content once, and that content then works across multiple devices. Maybe it's the user experience finding such a good, fluid learning design. How actually cost-effective Adapt is due to its open source nature, or the ability to collaborate with other authors who are creating e-learning. So we'll just give it another 5 or 10 seconds. You may find in this poll that there are a number of elements that you can relate to, but we're looking to see what the priority for guys today.
So Lisa, looking at that, perhaps understandably, the fact that creating the content once, for output to multiple devices is appealing, because who wants to do anything more than once, it has to be said. So, I think that is very exciting about Adapt. I would certainly agree with that. And, the ability to collaborate with other authors is coming in low, which perhaps surprises me, but, maybe it'd be interesting to know a bit about that. Maybe most people are authoring on their own. I think we very much imagine and have been using that aspect to share with subject matter experts so they can make amendments directly and quickly to content once it's built. So I think it does depend whether you're working in a collaborative environment or you're solo writing, I suppose. But no, thanks for that. That looks good. But I think certainly creating the content once is a real positive for everyone.
Great stuff. Thanks, Deborah. I'm just going to pop you over to Arlene for the second part of the demo.
Hello, everyone, again. Okay, so we're going to go back. We're going to add in 2 more components to our course. So I'll just take you back to the course structure here. So we've added our first page in. We're going to add another page. So again, we'll just do the same again, click on Add Page, and we'll click on the Edit icon, and we'll just add some text in here again. Okay, so the second component I'm going to be adding will be a hot graphic, which is a bit more complex, a bit more to go into it. So I'll just paste this text in here first of all. Okay, basically the same as what we've done before. And we'll just save that. So we'll just double click and double click into our article field, and we'll put our text in here as well. Okay, again, leave the display title. We'll just copy that in here. And You can put some text in here within the article field. It's entirely up to you. I'm not going to put any text in here with this particular component. We're going to add our hot graphic in. And again, we'll just double click in here to edit this. So again, important that the component title field is filled in here. Otherwise, the text component title will just feed through to your progress tracking, so just makes it harder for the user to know which sections they have or haven't completed. Okay. Now I have some text to go in here to the component body. Okay, so we have quite a few fields here that we're going to fill in. I'll just take you through those briefly. So here we're going to add in our pins. Now the pins are basically, your hot graphic is one image that has some sub-graphics within it as well. And this is where your hot graphic pins come in. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is actually add the hot graphic that I want to put in the entire image. So this goes in within your source. So again, you have your browse icon. So we're just going to browse. Now, I've actually uploaded this already to the Asset Manager. You would basically just do the same as what you would have done with the hero image. So this is the hot graphic that I want. You just click on it and your graphics here. Okay, now we're going to add the pins. So we just click on Add. So again, we have quite a few fields here to fill in. Now, your pin positions is where you want your pin to appear within the graphic. And what goes in here is a coordinate. Now, the easiest way to describe it is your graphic is set up in a grid of 100 by 100. And I'll just get rid of this 1 second. I'll just show you. I'll just show you what the hot graphic looks like and explain quickly how the hot graphic works. Okay, so as explained, the graphic is basically a grid of 100 across by 100 down. So if you just remember that when you're trying to place your coordinates, it's just loading the image here for me now. So this is the hot graphic that I'm actually trying to enter here. So if you imagine that it goes 100 across, 100 down. So wherever you want your icon to appear, that is where the coordinate that you need to put in. So for this one, it's right at the top. So we guess 0, 0 top, 0 bottom. This is halfway across the graphic, so 50. Now it is very much trial and error at the beginning. Some hot graphics are a bit trickier than others to do. We'll just go back and we'll put our coordinates in now. Okay. So we're just going to add our pins. So for the first sub-graphic, I'm going to enter the coordinate 0, 0. We want this to appear in the top left. Now the alt text is for accessibility reasons. Text readers will read the text for users that can't view the images. So for the purpose of this, I'm just going to add some text in for the first hot graphic. So I'm just going to upload the asset first of all, just to see what it looks like. And again, I have these images already uploaded to our Asset Manager, so I have added the text agile working just to make them easier to find. So we'll just upload them. Okay, so this is the first graphic I want to upload. Just click on the graphic and click Done. So for that, pretty simple text will go in here. We'll just put hand holding cake. Okay, and the strapline again is very important when it comes to using Adapt within mobile devices. This will change the prompt text that appears when the user uses the course within a mobile device or a tablet. So we'll just put our strapline in here. Okay, and this is our body text. Goes in here. So this is my first hotspot. Just paste it in here. And again, the title. Okay, so those are the fields, and we just OK that. And we're going to do the same for the other pen graphics we need as well. So I'm just going to search for them. And this is the second graphic I want, so I'll just click on the graphic and click on Done. Again, we want to put our strap line in here. And just the text also. And again, the coordinates for this one. If you remember, this is the graphic we want to select here. So it is halfway across the graphic to the top. So we'll put in for this one. It's right at the top, halfway across the graphic. And we'll just put our alt text in. We'll put family Russian. Okay, and we'll add our third pen graphic in. We'll just search for the image first of all. Okay, here's our third image. Click on the image and click on Done. And again, we're just going to do exactly what we've done before. So this is the image here that I want. So this is right at the bottom. We want the pen icon to appear to the left of it. So we want it right at the bottom, so 100 and to the left. We'll put in some alt text again for that one. So we'll put in Home Office for this one. And again, our strap line. And our body text, which will appear when the user clicks on the actual hot graphic. And our title text. Okay. And our final graphic. Okay, we'll just upload the image first of all. Okay, click on the image and click on Done, same as before. And you can see that this one's to the bottom to the right. So again, we're just going. Now, it might be that when you preview the module, you maybe see that your pen icons are not in the right place. You could go back and change those. As I said, it's just trial and error in the beginning, depending on the graphic that you're using. And again, some alt text in here. We'll just put hand holding cup. Okay, and strap line again. Okay, once we preview this, I'll show you where the strap line actually comes in. And just our final bit of text in here. Okay, and just click OK. Okay, so that's all 4 pen icons put in here. Now you can see you have a few other fields here also. Now, the first of these is actually quite important. Now, this automatically defaults to true. What happens if you preview the module with this defaulted to true, you won't actually see your hot graphics. So you need to make sure that's actually changed to false. Now, these other two fields can be left as they are. It basically just determines how the user navigates through the pen icons, whether they have to click on them individually or whether they can scroll through them. So for the purposes of this, I'm just going to leave this as it is, just to show you. This will allow the user just to click on each pen icon. Now, the final field that needs filled in here is the mobile body again, which is quite important when it comes to using it on mobile devices. So we'll just paste that in here. Okay, and we'll just save that. And we shall preview that. And hopefully that will work for us. Okay. So there you go, there's your hot graphics set up. We'll just click on one of the pen icons here just to show you. And you can see here that we have it set up that the user has to click on each of these icons individually. If we would change that in the admin bit of the builder, the user should be able to scroll through these. I'll just downsize this just to show you where the mobile strap line comes in here. So you can see our prompts have changed automatically here when we've downsized this to roughly mobile size. The prompts just dictate and tell the user what to do, and the component changes slightly then when it's downsized. Okay, so that's a hot graphic. We're going to add our third and final component now. So I'm just going to go back to the course structure. We're going to add the final page in, doing exactly what we've done before. Click on the edit icon, and we'll just paste this text in. And again, the text is copied straight across. We're just going to add in a brief line of text just explaining what this section will cover. Okay, and we'll just save that. Okay, and just double click in. Okay, so we'll double click into our article. So this final component is a multiple choice question. So we'll just put the title in here. Okay, and display title copied across, and just save that. Okay, we're going to add our component. Multiple choice question. Again, you have the option to add to the left, to the right, full width. We'll go for full width. And we're just going to double click in here and put our title page in again. Again, important to make sure that it goes into the component title. It goes in here. It will display twice when it comes to the preview. So we're going to add some text in here. This is basically prompt text, just telling the user what to do. We'll just copy that in. Okay. And again, here you can see the text is defaulted across from the project settings page. So you don't need to enter this again. That's already filled in for you. Okay, now you have 5 feedback fields here, which really will depend, what will go in here will really depend on the way that you set your question up. So you can set the question up so the user has multiple tries. It really depends then how many correct answers you have within the question as well. Now with this particular question, I have 5 possible answers, all of which are correct for this one. So I'll just put this in. So the first feedback you have here is partly correct, not final. This really would only be if you have multiple tries for the user, and if there were, if the answer was partially correct. So we'll just put the feedback in here. Okay. Now I'm going to set this question up. The user only has one attempt, and I say all answers are correct. So the feedback will be different then depending on the way your question is set up. And the next one we have is partly correct, final. So if the user has another go, they still get it wrong, this is the feedback that will appear. The next one is incorrect, not final. If they've got the answer completely wrong, but they have another attempt, your prompt might read click or tap reset and have another go. But for this, I'm just going to paste this in again. I'm only giving my user one try. And again, incorrect final. They've had another attempt. They've still got the question wrong. This is where your feedback will go. And the fifth and final is correct. This is your feedback if they've got the answer correct. So we'll just paste that in here. Okay, here's where we're going to add in our answer options. So we'll just click on the add, and we're going to add in our first option. Okay, so this answer is true, which is right at the minute. If we wanted that to be false, we will just change that to false. So we'll leave it as it is and click on OK. And then we're just going to do the same again for the rest of them. Again, this is true. We'll leave it as it is. And again. And we'll just add that in again. And again, this is true, so we'll leave it as it is. And the final one. And click on OK. So all 5 have been answered here. Now here we have selectable items. This basically determines how many options you want the user to answer. Now as I have 5 correct answers and I have 5 answers set up here, I'm going to change this to 5. This will really depend on how many correct answers you have. If you have 5 answers, maybe with 3 that are correct, you can set that up as 5 or you can set it up as 3 depending on how much of a hint you want to give your user. But I'm going to set this up with 5 at the minute. Question weight, I'm going to leave it 1. Randomized items. This just means that this will shuffle the answers up when the user goes in. We'll leave that at true. And how many attempts you want to give your user. I'm just giving them 1 attempt, but again, you can change that. If you want to give them 2 attempts, 3 attempts, we'll leave that at 1. And we shall just click on save. And we'll preview that just to see how it looks. Okay, and there's our question. So we'll just try that out and click on submit. And your feedback appears as such. So that's basically the end of our demo with our 3 components.
That's great. Arlene, thank you very much. Guys, excuse me, frog me throat. We have got loads and loads and loads of questions, and due to time we won't be able to answer them all live today, but what I can promise is that any that we don't answer live on today's session, we will follow up as a learning document to everyone who's attended today's webinar, so you get kind of a feel of the questions that other delegates are asking that maybe you didn't think to ask yet. So I promise that everything will be answered, but in the meantime we can answer a few. So Owen, we have a number in. Okay, the first one, Owen, is what's the technical spec required to run Adapt Builder? Okay, so you'll need, in order to run the builder, you'll need IE9 or above, or Chrome or Firefox are fine, and they're probably the best ones to use. Actually, that's what we all use in-house here at Learning Tool. But if you're using Internet Explorer, anything from version 9 upwards is fine. And for output, so when you publish a course and put it onto your LMS, you'll need IE8 or above in order to view it. But if you're actually authoring, it's IE9. That's a great one. Thank you. What about working with colleagues? Can someone work with colleagues on the same course? Yes, they can, and we touched upon that in the poll there as well. It was one of the answers that people probably didn't grasp onto so much, which is a bit surprising really, because we think that's one of the big pluses for Adapt Builder, the ability, because it's web-based, the ability to collaborate on courses. So once you create a course, you can make it shared so that other people within the same organization can view and edit the course as well. So you might have an instructional designer who's working on the content, and then you could pass that across to a graphics team, for example, and they could do their bits on it and make it look
lovely for you, and then maybe pass it on to a subject matter expert for them to review. So any number of people can view the same course as long as they have a login to the builder.
Good. It's good from a consistency point of view, in terms of the fear of content getting lost along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Joe has asked, can you explain the article block component structure?
Yeah, so I think, well, Arlene probably touched on it, covered it in a fair amount of detail, but if you want to think of it as the overall course is your course level, and then beneath that, what you might previously have called sections, we would call pages now, and then within each page, it's broken down into articles, blocks, and components, which is ABC. I'm not sure if the person who invented the titles, article, block, and components, did it deliberately, but it's a nice little easy way to remember it, ABC. So you can have as many components as you like within an article, but only 2 per block, and then as many blocks as you like within an article as well. So that's basically how the basic breakdown of how content's structured, and you can set that up any way you want to give it, a nice flow, and it's versatile in that way as well.
Good stuff. A question from Lopez. Lopez is asking, so our absolute pins position, is that just for the desktop layout?
No, so whenever you're positioning your pin on a hot graphic, you saw the coordinates that Arlene was entering there. They're actually percentages rather than a number of pixels or anything like that. So as soon as if you were viewing on a desktop or a tablet or whatever the size or resolution of the screen you're viewing on, the pin will stay the same in the same position relative to the larger graphic.
Okay.
And so just following on from that as well, I think we had a question on hot graphics and the use of pin, or the way we position pins, and will we be changing that or making it a bit more user-friendly? I think some of our old authoring tool and many other authoring tools use a system whereby you select the position of your pin icon just by clicking on it, and that's something that's on the roadmap for us as well. So you'll be able to just click on an area on the main graphic and select that as the position that you want your pin to appear on, rather than by trial and error, effectively, which is how it is at the moment. So that's one of many improvements that are coming. Another one, I think someone mentioned in another question, was automatically adding the strapline for hot graphics, just so you don't have to add in the same strapline over and over again. That's, again, on the roadmap, so you'll be able to add in a default strapline which will appear in all those fields, and you can change it on a case-by-case basis if you want, but otherwise it'll default to whatever you've selected.
Okay, sounds good, Owen. Thank you. A number of questions around this area is, how clear is it that all parts of the course have been completed by the actual user? Okay,
so this deals with page level progress, which I think Arlene just mentioned briefly in her demo there, but it's something we're going to cover in the 3rd webinar in the series here. But it's an extension you can add onto your course whereby the user will see all of the components that you want them to see within the course, and all of those which they've completed already and all of which they've yet to complete. So they'll get a good visual indication of how much of the course they've done, what they still have left to do, and you can also set the course up so that it won't mark as complete on your LMS until all of the components that you've specified as mandatory have completed. But as I say, that's something we're going to go into in a bit more detail in the 3rd webinar in this series.
Okay, sounds good. Well, as part of the follow-up to today's session, I will share with you the links to the Adapt Masterclass 2 and Adapt Masterclass 3 for those of you who haven't registered yet. So I'm just going to pop you over to Deborah to give some concluding thoughts on this morning's session.
Well, just very briefly, thank you very much for people's sort of lively set of questions, and that's really valued. It's good that people are asking these questions, and broadly speaking, I think there's some solid responses, but including that there's still development work. I think we recognise that the hot graphic, I'm sure our instructional design team will appreciate a more sort of visual approach to that, but it is achievable with a bit of practice to make that work nice and easily with the current tools, but definitely lots of improvements and enhancements underway. I think one of the things that struck me today today was I was reminded with my sort of instructional design hat on of the use and elegance of a well-constructed storyboard. So Arlene was, able to very quickly build content there because she had a well-constructed storyboard which was laid out with the thought of the learning design done prior to accessing the builder. I know people are keen to get their hands on and start developing, start building straight into the tool, but from an instructional design point of view, there is some real solid value in having that base storyline to work with, particularly if you're collaborating with subject matter experts at that early stage of designing your content and pulling together your material. So great storyboard, Arlene. I hope people did see as well that the builder is easy to use. Yes, there's a few techniques and sort of navigational issues to work through to make sure that you understand, but it works consistently throughout. It's lovely to be able to copy and paste so cleanly in the way that Arlene did, so I think there's some real positives there. And also sort of the facts that the mobile text and how we use that as well. On the Academy, for those of you who have accessed that, the user guide as well as the interactive sessions, there are user guides which lists the text, some suggested text for mobiles to make that easy for people. There's also, I know there was a question about graphic sizes, there's also information in the user guide around that. So lots of resources there on the Academy that cover what Arlene covered this morning, but also a lot more too. So I hope people found that useful and enjoyable. I'm just going to hand you back now to Lisa to wrap up the session. Thank you.
That's great, Deborah. Thank you very much. So just to echo what Deborah is saying on behalf of Owen and Arlene and myself, thank you to everyone. It's so invigorating to see so many people interested in the work that Learning Pool is doing with Adapt Learning and Adapt Builder. A few things just to make you aware of. There will be a follow-up to today's session where you'll find a link to a recording of this webinar, and any accompanying resources will be hitting your inbox. The next session takes place on the 21st of May, and that's about theming Adapt course, and then the final takes place on the 28th, which is about publishing the Adapt course. And you'll find the registration links for that on allthews.learningpool.com/events. And this week we launched the Adapt program on the Learning Pool Academy, as Deborah has mentioned, and there'll be a link to that on the follow-up. And for those of you who haven't seen the Adapt Builder ebook that's been whizzing around all corners of the earth and basically gone viral, there'll be a link to that as well. And the Adapt seminars are happening in Leeds and London in June. And then not forgetting our flagship Learning Pool Live event, which is happening on the 15th of October, which is all set to be a day full of surprises and learning technologies and elements such as Adapt Learning. And there's actually a cracker offer on at the minute for an early bird rate of £99, which closes at the end of this month. So on behalf of Owen, Arlene, Deborah and myself, thank you to everyone for joining us this morning, and we look forward to seeing you online soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.